Welcome back to This Day. We have a great program I want to tell you about. Norma Mendoza is here. She's a volunteer recruitment manager for Casa. Tell us a little bit about what Casa is in general.
So Casa stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate, and it's a program where volunteers are matched one-on-one with a youth in foster care, and they become their mentors and advocates throughout their time in and out of the court system.
Okay, how is that different than being a foster parent? Isn't a foster parent someone who's kind of the advocate for these kids as well?
Yeah, so foster parents actually take the youth into their homes. Our volunteers are able to take youth on outings out into their communities, and then the really special part about the program is they get to go into the courtroom and advocate for them with the judge.
Okay, and what kind of advocate do you have to be an expert in law? Do you get training for these kinds of things?
Yeah, it's a great question. No,
I'd be a little bit nervous going, I'm going to go advocate for my foster youth in front of a judge.
Yeah, and it might be nerve-wracking to stand in front of the courtroom and things like that, but really it is an opportunity for you to be able to observe the cases, be able to make recommendations, and really amplify the voice of the youth in court. You do not need any background experience. We provide all the training opportunities for you, and we have a really extensive training program.
I'm guessing it's an important part, but maybe a smaller part. What is the bigger role that these advocates play in the child's life?
Well, there's a lot of instability when it comes to a child being in foster care. You are moved from placement to placement really often and school to school. So first of all, you are adding some stability back into their lives. You are a consistent, supportive adult that they can depend on to continue showing up for them. And then I really want to emphasize that piece about the courtroom, because that is really where the difference happens. A lot of the times our judges may not be seeing the youth in the courtroom. They may not be hearing directly from them. So CASAs are there to really essentially have a megaphone in the courtroom and communicate what the needs of the child are.
How long has this program been around? Is it? I know I've heard of it many years back. Is it just something that was always part of the foster program, or is it something that kind of came into being when they saw that maybe a need?
Yeah, so actually it was founded back in 1977 by a judge in Seattle, Judge David Sukup, and he talks about having a lot of cases coming across the bench where he didn't have enough information to make more holistic decisions. So he called on community volunteers, and thus CASA was started. And a fun fact actually is when he retired from the bench, he became a CASA himself.
There you go.
I think that's a testament to the program.
The one he founded, he said, this is working. Get involved,
exactly.
Right? So when you talk about retirement and getting into the program, is there an age gap? Is there something you're looking for? Can seniors in this community here of Laguna Woods Village, can they be part of this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is mostly the population that we get when it comes to our volunteers, because those are the people that have more time and resources to be able to give back to their communities. And so there might be some age gaps. We do see youth all the way from 0 to 21. In California, there's something called AB 12, which means extended foster care. So our youth are able to stay in foster care up until 21. So there could be a variety of range and ages. And actually, that's not federal law. And so only a handful of states have AB 12, extended foster care, which really should be the federal law. Yeah,
because a lot of those kids, they're 18, they're kind of dumped, I don't want to use the word, but kind of dumped out of the system, right?
Right.
Okay, you're on your own. Figure it out from here.
Yeah, and I like to tell people, think back to when you were 18. Did you feel that you were ready to be a self-sufficient adult without the support of your parents, your network?
I could barely tie my shoes.
Exactly. I don't feel like I was an adult until years after that.
Right.
And so I think it's unfair that we're sending our young people out into the world and expecting them to be productive members of society without the necessary skills. So AB 12 really comes in handy with 3 extra years of support and really focusing on that transition period when it comes to housing, where you're going to live, how you're going to make sure you have food and access to the services that you need.
What are the things that would be qualities you'd look for in a CASA volunteer?
I think really it's just someone who has the heart and the time and wants to continue showing up. Really, we have full-time professionals, we have retired work professionals, we have people from really a lot of different spectrums in terms of their background, and everyone brings a unique set of skills. Some people might be really good at making sure that the youth is set up with their finances. Some people might be really good at making sure the educational aspect is set up, and so we take that into account when volunteers come in to be able to match them with a case where they'll be able to do the most good.
And how do the the foster youth kind of respond to this program? Has it been a positive influence on them, or what's the feedback you're getting from them when they have someone from Casa come into their lives?
Yeah, we actually survey our youth every year to make sure that our program is working the way that it's supposed to for them. And so we get really positive feedback. We like to say we're a preferred person in the life of the youth because, you know, they have a lot of people coming in with lanyards telling them what to do and kind of what's going wrong. But our Casas are there to just take them out and let them be kids for a few hours. Okay. Let them toss a ball at the park and, you know, just focus on them. And so really it is someone that they want to continue seeing, they want to continue having this experience. And whether or not they may or may not have the skills to communicate gratitude and communicate or really understand what the impact is, we hear a lot of stories from, you know, years later where advocates are being invited to weddings and, you know, maybe they become godparents to their kids. And so it really is a positive relationship.
So that makes me think of the time commitment that a Casa volunteer has. If you are assigned a youth and let's say they're 10, or is there an expectation you're going to be with that youth all the way through to 21 or whatever that might be, or what kind of time commitment are we talking about here?
So we ask for a 2-year commitment, and that's because the average time of a youth in foster care is about 18 months with a 6-month stability period. And so we ask for that 2-year commitment to make sure we're not adding, you know, trauma or instability to the life of the youth. However, we know life happens, and so we're not, you know, going to keep you if you need to go. But we just like to make sure that, you know, we're providing that stability. And that comes out to about 10 to 15 hours of a commitment per month. Okay.
And what's the feedback you get? I imagine since you do survey the youth, what's the feedback you get from the volunteers in the program? Is it working for them? Is it overwhelming? Are they getting the support they need?
You know, it always depends on the case, but we do match every volunteer with an advocate supervisor, which is one of our staff members. That really is the point of contact throughout their time as a volunteer. They're the person that they go to vent, they go to celebrate for happy and difficult things. So there really is that point of contact. And a lot of our advocate supervisors have actually been Casas themselves in the past, so they really know what it's like to be in the shoes of the volunteer.
So kind of graduate up to being the mentor for the mentors kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it is a paid position, so it is a staff member. But yeah, it is a really wonderful relationship. And I think our volunteers get a lot out of it too. You know, they say that as much as they feel like they're helping the youth, they also feel like the youth is helping them become a better person.
If this program wasn't here, what would be the results? What do you feel like? Where would we be missing in terms of serving these foster youth?
Well, you know, we have professionals that are always working on cases that obviously do their best to be able to give the time one-on-one to each youth. But the reality is we are dealing with a system that is overburdened and underfunded. And so there's social workers carry about, you know, 40 to 80 cases depending on their situation. And so the role of a Casa really is to be that person that focuses solely on the child. And when it comes to our impact, we know that, for example, youth in foster care have a graduation rate of 58% from high school. But when you place a Casa in the life of a youth, that graduation rate goes up to a 92%, which really, having a high school diploma can impact outcomes later on.
And what's the interaction like with the foster parents and the Casa volunteers in terms of how that coordination works, and is that something that gets done by the program, or is something they work out together in terms of, hey, I'm going to pick up Bobby and do my thing here? Yeah,
so what we do is once a volunteer finishes all of our steps in terms of training and all of those things, we do what's called a file read, where we present a case to the volunteer. They get to read essentially what has been going on and make a decision on whether or not that's the case they want to take. And then after that, they do an initial visit where they coordinate with the caregiver depending on where the youth is placed. And then after that, it's kind of up to them to coordinate schedules, see what works out, and outings usually happen weeknights or the weekends.
Okay. How can people get involved? What do they need to do in terms of outreach, phone numbers, websites, things like that?
Yes. So the first step is to attend an information session, which you can sign up on our website, www.casaoc.org. We have virtual and in-person sessions that you can attend and learn a little bit more about our program, and then take it from there.
Sounds like a fantastic program. Norma Mendoza for Volunteer Recruitment, thank you so much for joining us and telling us all about this.
Thank you for having us.
All right, coming up, we're going to go over to the Sports Corner with Cole, and then we're going to head out to New York Club. Stay with us.